This is my first game. It is simple, it is ugly, and it is completely broken. And this is the story of how I decided to change this game into something I'm proud of. This game started as a simple experiment, mostly just to cure my boredom. It is very simple. You wait for the signal, press the spacebar, and it will measure your reaction speed with simple calculation. That's it. And honestly, I wasn't satisfied. Not with how it looked, and definitely not with how simple it was. So, I decided to make an improvement with this game. Well, not really. Instead of continuing this version, I decided to overhaul the entire project using the same team but turning it into a completely new genre. So, I made a bullet hell clicker survival game. For the game engine, I use pygame. It is simple and I have some experience with it. Rather than learning a new game engine from scratch, I think this is the right choice for me to explore. Now, on to the next topic. The first thing I did was not create the core logic of the game, but the screen menu. I thought it would be easy to implement the new features one by one if I start here first. The idea was to create several buttons that will transition to the next screen when clicked. Of course, I could create each button separately, but it's tedious and I don't like it. So instead, I create a list of button labels and use a loop to generate the buttons dynamically. Each button's action is based on each label and another function handles what happens when the button is clicked. This way, the button will automatically create and handle the action without creating a spaghetti code. Next, I create a class that handles the core game logic. You see, I have two functions, one that creates a new game and one that loads a save game. When a player clicks on a new game, it will create a new object called game, and the player can play like normal. When a player quits the game, it will save all the data like player, upgrades, enemy's position and other objects into JSON format. And when a player wants to continue the last checkpoint, the load game function will create a new game that loads all the data into the game logic. That way, it will create a new object using save data, for example, last enemy position or current health point as a reference. This will create synchronization between pauses, or player can continue from the last checkpoint. Now for the entity, I create a player, objects and enemy classes along with their attributes and functions. To make this game more interesting, I put a behavior pattern for the enemy to give a little bit of variety. I could make the enemy approach the object and damage it when it made contact, but it will be too simple and boring to play. So, I added two types of behavior, melee and range. Those two types are spawned at random in this enemy spawner class. I also set the random spawn location outside the game container, making the illusion of a huge map. To make the game complete, I add several upgrades to the player. With each purchase increases the cost. I use the same function as the menu screen to draw the upgrade buttons. I also add a difficulty modifier, making the enemy grow stronger for each 5 minutes that pass. And the last thing I made in this game is the save and load functions. To make my life easier, I create a class to format all the classes I have into a dictionary and save it into JSON file. Then, I encrypt the JSON file with encryption, cause why not? If I say to secure the data, I don't know how secure this method is, so I just put it here just for the standard of quality. To load the save data, the function from dictionary will reformat back into readable format and then set the variable into class objects. That's all I have so far. In this project, I learned a lot about making games. There are parts I don't know, like save and load function, so I just use ChatGPT to help me learn. I know it's not complete, but I'm satisfied for now. I will continue to develop this game, just not for another month. I would like to apologize for the lack of quality. This is my first time doing this. I'm not a professional, so go easy on the critics. However, if you enjoy this video, you can support me by subscribing to my channel and hit the like button. Who knows, you'll get to see my next projects. You could also help me by donating some